Something very odd happened about 6 weeks ago. The people who happened to follow Cosmo magazine on social media, they were treated to this post right here, explaining the details of how a quote-unquote satanic abortion ceremony actually works. Let me read to you a quick tidbit on what this social media post said. And as you're listening to me read this, keep in mind that this social media post is not from some fringe part of the internet. This was a post from the most mainstream women's magazine in this country. Here's what it said, quote, "So how does a satanic abortion ceremony even work? Patients of all faiths are welcome at Samuel Alito's mom's satanic abortion clinic in New Mexico. Along with medical counsel, TST, which stands for the Satanic Temple, offers free ceremonial support to everyone. Abortion ceremonies are totally optional and customizable. Here's a simple one that the Satanic Temple recommends." The post then goes on to have several pages explaining how to conduct one of these satanic abortion rituals, with each one of these pages having at the top of it an upside-down cross. Just on some fringe part of the internet, this would not even be worth discussing. I would not read aloud to you any of this. But this is not from some fringe part of the internet. As I mentioned earlier, this was found in the largest women's magazine here in America. And so, let's expose what's really going on here, starting with a bit of background, right after you take a super quick moment to smash those like and subscribe buttons so that this information can reach ever more people via the YouTube algorithm. Now, what's come to be known as a satanic abortion ritual is actually the product of an organization called the Satanic Temple. This is a non-theistic religion that was officially registered with the US government about 10 years ago and is now recognized as a tax-exempt religious organization with the IRS. And just as a fun fact, they have their headquarters based out of Salem, Massachusetts, of all places. And this quote-unquote religion, despite its name being Satanism, claims to not truly believe that Satan exists. Instead, according to Ms. Shalise Blythe, who is the Satanic Temple spokesperson for reproductive rights, she claims that the temple treats Satan as something akin to a mascot who represents rebellion, personal sovereignty, as well as resistance. Now, if this view of theirs reminds you of that very famous quote from Charles Baudelaire, that Satan's greatest trick was persuading the world that he doesn't exist, well, perhaps the members of this temple got tricked the hardest of all. Regardless, in advancing one of their main tenets, which is complete personal liberation, the Satanic Temple created something called the Satanic Abortion Ritual. This was the ritual that we just read about in the pages of Cosmo magazine, and the reason for its creation appears to be so that the Satanic Temple can give women a religious loophole to conduct abortions. Because if a woman happens to live in a state here in America where abortions are either partially or completely outlawed, well, she can now claim affiliation with the temple and make the argument that this abortion of hers is actually part of her religion. Although there is something else that's really worth mentioning here, which is that this abortion angle is just one part, is just one theater of battle in a much larger war that's being currently waged by the Temple of Satan. That's because, besides this whole religious abortion legal battle, well, the Satanic Temple is also using their status as a non-profit religious organization to push many other satanic elements onto American life. For instance, over in the state of Idaho, the local Satanic Temple there set up a satanic altar in the state capitol just ahead of Christmas. And it's worth mentioning that they did this legally after filing all the necessary paperwork. Likewise, the Satanic Temple, they've been using lawsuits to get rid of Judeo-Christian iconography from public grounds across the whole country, such as the lawsuit over in Arkansas aiming to remove the Ten Commandments from the state capitol. And then also, the Satanic Temple has been expanding its after-school Satan Club program for kids after they scored a legal victory over in the U.S. District Court of Pennsylvania on the grounds of free speech. And so, this is essentially what this organization is currently up to, using America's freedom of speech and religion, alongside the laws that are already on the books, to get themselves recognized as a religion, and then to subsequently push onto American society these satanic elements. It really brings to mind that very famous passage in a letter that was written by John Adams all the way back in the year 1798. Quote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other."